Mark Foster has a long history of mental illness. That history can be documented about 22 years, maybe more. So that's the point we were trying to make clear in today's hearing. An individual's psychological records are confidential to them, and I wouldn't want to make the decision about whether or not to release your psychological records or history, or hers, or any of these camera people, or my clients, any of my clients, whether it's Mark Foster or anybody. The state has to prove at this hearing has to show probable cause that Mr. Foster premeditated in his act. At trial, they'll have to show beyond a reasonable doubt that that element existed in the deliberative process. And so if Mr. Foster suffers from a mental disease so as to preclude him from being able to premeditate, that would be an issue at his trial.
So it has to do with the ability to think rationally.
No. You can. It's a different standard, but and it remains to be seen whether we'll be able to prove it or not. But you have to be able to reflect and to contemplate and to form a plan in your mind, free of the emotion of the moment, and you have to have the capacity to do that in order to premeditate, to commit a first-degree murder. You know, this process, at least at this stage, is a very fluid process. Any assessment or evaluation that I would make it within the context of the knowledge I have at this moment. I've known him for, 10 days, 12 days? And so any assessment I make today may be absolutely irrelevant tomorrow or, the next day. As more information comes in and we're able to assess that, then that drives, where it is we go and what it is we do in terms of preparing his defense. And so right now I know what I know. That's,
Have you had an evaluation done on your client?
No. If there is a time when Mr. Foster needs to be evaluated, it's right now. But the Supreme Court has told me I can't have any funding because he's indigent to have that done until he's at trial. And so we have to sit and wait until the grand jury indicts before I'm even eligible to ask for money to have him evaluated. And when he's at trial, we will certainly be asking for funding to have a full mental evaluation.
I know you asked about his facial expression. Why was that so important to you?
What you're thinking, feeling, what your motivations are, oftentimes can be reflected in your body language, your facial expressions, what you say, how you act, what you look like. And so we're interested to the extent, trauma causes one to have trouble with their memory, and so to the extent that she could recall what was going on, I was wanting to see if she would explain what her impressions were relative to his demeanor and so on.
Were you suggesting the school had some awareness of his mental problems, or?
The school's holding the press conferences. They knew what they knew. I don't want to be arrogant enough to try and suggest I know what they knew. They have to answer with that. I don't know.